All right. How are you guys doing? My name is Sam. You're watching La Production Tips and Tools. We are live right now. We're gonna
As
be
someone who hates writing and
obviously
responding to messages,
talking
I started
about the OBSBOT Tail Air, and we're gonna be talking about the new camera from the Mevo Core. So if you're watching live, let me know down below if you can see and hear me, if everything is good. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. If you're watching on the replay, same thing. Let me know how you doing. Leave comments down below if you have questions you want to ask me about anything live streaming. Of course, that's what we're gonna be talking about. However, as I just said, we're gonna be also focusing on these two cameras. So the Mevo Core camera just came out by Logitech, and I've actually been playing and reviewing another camera from OBSBOT. And many people were actually, few people, I had some people asking me on the chat the other day when I was live, the main difference between the Mevo Core and the OBSBOT Tail Air, and of course, which camera is best for you. This is gonna depend on your use case scenario, obviously, but I think I'm gonna have some insights for you guys. And of course, we got both cameras here, and yeah, this is the OBSBOT Tail Air, and we got the Mevo Core. And of course, I'm using the same camera to record, actually not record, but live stream. This stream that you're watching is actually being recorded or being I'm using the Mevo Core camera for this feed, so you guys can have an idea of what it looks like. Again, this is a micro four third lens or mount camera or sensor. That's why it's amazing, because I'm actually able to use some of my other micro four third lenses that I usually use on my Panasonic GH5, this camera right here. So you're gonna be able to see everything. Ask me if you guys have questions, of course. But yeah, I'm gonna be giving you some insights. So another thing that's actually super exciting is gonna be the fact that we're gonna be giving away, of course, depending on when you watch this live stream, or if you're on a replay, we got 30 days to enter the giveaway. So we're gonna be giving away a brand new OBSBOT Tail Air. Now, to be able to enter the giveaway, I've got some info for you. We're gonna be going through, some of the steps that you need to go through to be able to enter the giveaway. It's a 30-day giveaway. I've got some rules down below if you want to check them out. For shipping purposes, I'm not gonna be able to ship international, so this is gonna be for mostly people living in the US and Canada. However, if you live anywhere, Europe, Africa, Asia, anywhere that you may be living and have someone who lives in the States or who lives in Canada that I can ship to, you can still enter the giveaway. I just need an address in Canada or US where I can actually be able to ship the camera if you actually win. So I'm gonna giving you some of the details as well. So make sure you stick around because we got those details for how to win the OBSBOT Tail Air. This is a beautiful camera, by the way. So before we go too far, I'm just gonna go ahead and see who's here live. Let's see. We got that was me. We got Dwight. Rose says, "Good morning. How are you doing? Good to see you." We got who else we got here? Just one second. All right. So just want to make sure I've got the chat in the right monitor here so you guys can. All right, we got who else we got? We got YouTuber Gamer says good morning, YouTuber Gamer. We got Dwight Rose watching from Jamaica. Awesome, good to see you. Da-da-da. We got Steve in the house. The Mevo is better if you need interchangeable lens and zooming. The OBSBOT is perfect for a live stream camera, for a subject or anything that's close, in my opinion. Absolutely, we're gonna be talking about those details in a moment. You guys feel free to leave those comments down below for sure. Give me your thoughts as well in the chat down below. But let me know where you're watching from. Say good morning in the chat. We got Luis Kenu says, I'm your new fan. Greetings from Mexico. Yeah, 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 yeah. I've got some sound effects. Let me see if they work. There you go. All right. Guys, I got the Roadcaster Duo now, so I've got some effect. I mean, I still had those on my stream deck, which I believe they should be still work. There you go. Yeah, I've got those as well. So anyway, guys, let me know where you're watching from down below in the chat. I'm not gonna take much time. Okay, feel free if you have questions, drop those in the chat, and I'm gonna go through little quick. I'm gonna go through some of the features that we have when it comes to these two cameras. All right, so let's go to. I'm just gonna go ahead and actually share a OBSBOT before I show you the actual camera. So let's go to OBSBOT Tail Air page right now. I'm just gonna go ahead and share my screen for you guys to see. So this is the OBSBOT Tail Air page. I'm just gonna show you. We're gonna go through some of the features. As you can see, first of all, the pricing is about 600, and I don't know why it's showing in Canadian dollars, but usually in the US dollar, I believe it's about 500. 500 or yeah, I can actually go to Amazon Amazon.com. All right, just type in OBSBOT Tail Air. There we go. All right. So this is the OBSBOT Tail Air right now. And as you can see, it's $499. Okay, if you actually streaming from the States, watching from the States. So if you live in the States, or if you want to buy it in US dollar, okay. As you can see, it's a 4K camera. Some of the key features, it's gonna record in 4K. It's got 1/1.8, I believe, 1.5 sensor size. Okay, and I'm gonna show you little quick what it looks like in a minute if you've never seen one of my reviews. But as you can see, it's like a PTZ camera with a gimbal. It's got all the tracking features, which is awesome. Also, it may come with the remote. If you want to add the remote to control it, you're gonna have to pay a little more money for the remote. If you need to use the USB Type-C to Ethernet adapter, same thing. But other than that, this is what the camera looks like. It's really, really a super awesome camera. Okay, so let me go ahead and cut to my main angle so you guys can see. So this is the actual camera. It's gonna come, in this little box, little bag here. The packaging is awesome. So this is what it looks like, guys. Okay, it's got a gimbal. Okay, and it's got the tracking, so it's gonna track you. As you can see, it's like a PTZ camera. It can pan and tilt. Okay, you can mount it on any light stand or tripod or anything. As you can see, you got the mounting thing, and on the back you got HDMI. Of course, if you want to connect it using HDMI, you got this on and off button. And you get this little, I think this is where all the sensors are, okay, to be able to sense the movements and everything, because the tracking, and it's amazing. All right. And then you get an SD card slot to be able to record internally, and you got a microphone jack on the back here, so you can actually connect a microphone directly into it, and you got a software to be able to control it. So basically that's about it. Now it's got NDI built into it. However, when it comes to NDI, it's not gonna be you're not gonna get the license. So if you need to get the license for your, if you want to use NDI, you're gonna have to buy the license separately, which is gonna be something we're gonna talk about for the Mevo Core. Because I'm actually working on the video, because a lot of people have been saying that the Mevo Core is actually very expensive, because it costs $1,000. I mean, $999, which is like $1,000, and this one is half the price. So that's why I wanted to really make this video, because some people are confused, are like, should I buy the Mevo Core? So it's gonna come with the USB Type-C cable and few adapters. Of course, I don't want to open everything. I have one that's already open, but I don't have close to me. But anyways, that's just the accessories. Basically just a USB cable to be able to connect it that directly to your computer. Now, when it comes to connecting, really, it's super easy, right? It's you can either connect using the USB cable that comes with it, or you can connect using the HDMI, which is amazing. I believe this was the first webcam to have HDMI. So you can use HDMI directly, connect to something like the A10 Mini Pro, which is what I usually do, and be able to, go live with it. So even right now, I'm using an HDMI cable connected to the Mevo Core, which is exactly the same concept. Now, for the only problem with the OBSBOT Tail Air, for the HDMI port is actually not full size. So you're gonna need an adapter, something like, what is it called, micro HDMI adapter, to be able to adapt it to full size. So that's one thing that you need to be aware of. Okay, but other than that, it's an amazing camera. Think about, like, having a webcam that has HDMI. It's like a game changer, right? With all the tracking and everything. Okay. Another thing is, if you want to use NDI, this is amazing. I'm not sure if it has SRT. That's something that I actually forgot to double check. Okay, if it has SRT. Should I know it has NDI, but I forgot to double check if it has SRT. Okay, so if I go to specs real quick, I'm just gonna show you my screen. So these are the specs, guys. Size, AI chip, camera. Yeah, the sensor is 1/1.8. It doesn't have any actually says 8 optical lenses, but the zooming is not, it doesn't have optical zooming. It's digital zooming. So you have, this is a little, it's kind of misleading. At first I thought it has 8 times like optical zoom, but it's not. It's just 8 lenses, but when you zoom, you're using digital zoom. So you need to be aware. Aperture f1.8. You can shoot at 4K 1080. You can shoot at 60 frames per second in 1080p, and 4K up to 30 frames per second, which is gonna be different. Video codec, you got H.265 and H.264 and H.265. Okay, I'm looking for SRT. We got built-in microphone. You also got a input. You got Wi-Fi 5.8 and 2.4. You got Bluetooth, and you got USB 2.0, and you got what else? Battery. Of course, you got a built-in battery up to 90 minutes. Okay. And that's pretty much it. There's no SRT built into it. Again, I may be wrong, but I don't remember seeing any SRT. So if I'm wrong, guys, let me know in the chat. Okay. Now, if we go to the Mevo Core, the main differences, the first big difference between the Mevo Core and the Tail Air, the first thing is gonna be the sensor size. Now, the Mevo Core has a bigger sensor, and it's actually interchangeable lens. So it's a Micro Four Third sensor, which means I can put any Micro Four Third lens. In fact, I have a lot of Micro Four Third lenses for me, good for me. So I'm able to add any lens, and that allows me, one, because it's a bigger sensor, it performs well in low light. Two, I can add a good lens that has a better aperture, and that's gonna allow me to even like give me more light that hit the sensor, and that's gonna allow me to one, perform well in low light. Two, it's gonna give me a nice depth of field. If you're looking for that kind of cinematic look, you're gonna get that. Okay. The second thing is obviously the OBSBOT Tail Air can track, but this one, the core Mevo Core, cannot track. Okay, so there's no tracking, there's no PTZ. So I mean, it can zoom, but you cannot pin it, pan and tilt. Okay, and the next thing is obviously this one, the Mevo Core has full size HDMI, and the Tail Air doesn't. As you can see, this is full size HDMI. They both have SD card slots, so you can record directly on the cameras internally, and they have USB. This one has two USB ports. For this one, if you need two USB going out, you're gonna need to adapt to a little adapter. It's like a splitter. They'll split one USB Type C into two. But this one, the Mevo Core comes with two USB ports, one for charging and another one for connecting as a webcam to your computer. And it still has audio jack, audio input for connecting an external microphone. It has the on and off button, and it's 100% metal kind of built, and it has mounting points everywhere. I actually found out, didn't think about it, but if you want to do vertical video, you can easily, because it's kind of square cube, you can easily mount it in vertical mode without changing anything actually. As you can see, so I'm holding it like this, right? If I mount it like this on a tripod, because it's got mounting points everywhere, it becomes a vertical camera. So this is kind of super cool. What if I try to do this? It would be kind of weird. So this is probably something that I'm gonna have to make a video about. Let me go to this. Yeah, I don't think you guys were seeing everything that I was talking about, anyways. So yeah, so I was saying full size HDMI, internal SD card. The battery is kind of built into it, but it's actually changeable. You can change it, and the battery life on this camera is actually up to 6 hours. This one is up to 90 minutes. Okay, but again, personally, I haven't tested any of these, but that's what they claim. Okay, so the only problem, if you want to track, you're not gonna be able to do any tracking. So if you need tracking, maybe you need to track yourself, this is gonna be your camera. If you don't need tracking, this is gonna be way better. All the features. Now, for all the features, low light performance, interchangeable lens. However, when it comes to pricing, this is gonna be 2 times more expensive compared to this one. This is $500, this is $1,000. So that's why I tell people, if you need this specific, the Mevo Core with its features, then you know you need it. If you need tracking and you don't need the extra fancy looking low light performance and everything, then the the Tail Air is your camera. But there's one more thing I need to mention. If you need to use NDI, this camera comes with NDI built into it, and I believe the license is included, if I'm not mistaken. If you want to get the license for this one, I believe you got to pay a little more. I believe it's 100 and something to get the NDI license. So by buying this, you're saving on the NDI licensing. Now, if you need SRT, that's another thing. This camera, the Mevo Core, has built-in SRT, which allows you to send video over network from anywhere in the world. You could be in the States. Right now I'm in Canada, and be able to send me a feed using SRT. As long as you have the camera connected to network, you can actually send me an SRT video signal with low latency, and actually send it to me to OBS, where I'm gonna be able to actually I'm gonna be able to receive the feed. If you're doing things like remote productions, let's say you're doing sports or racing in deserts and stuff like that, like you can send me a feed, or you just want somebody to produce something for you. You can be using maybe 2 Mevo cameras from an event downtown Las Vegas or whatever. Doesn't matter, all right? And me, I could be in Canada running OBS and doing all the graphics and everything. You can send me 2 feeds, and then I'm gonna be able to run the show for you sitting in my office back in Canada. So that's the power of SRT with like low latency, right? So also like if you're doing some NDI stuff, this camera is more. I can see like a lot of churches can, because a lot of churches use Micro Four Thirds. If you're doing church production, many churches use GH5, use G85, G7, those cameras because of the fact that you can actually use any Micro Four Third lens. You can even adapt some EF mount lenses. So I can see a lot of churches actually taking advantage of the wireless capabilities that's actually built into this camera, either using NDI. You can connect this camera wired or wireless and be able to send a feed maybe from the lobby and send it using NDI back into your production booth. It could be using OBS or any other vMix or any other streaming software that, most broadcasting softwares actually can receive NDI and SRT, right? Either, or you use, like, let's say you want to get a feed from a remote campus, you can use the same concept, use SRT, and then send the video from that campus to your main campus, maybe using the same camera, same concept. So this is very, very useful. All right. So that's why this camera is more like, as a beginner, you're going to appreciate it, but also as a pro, you're going to still appreciate this camera because of the connectivity and wireless capabilities or wireless connectivity that it actually has. All right. So before I get to the next point about these two cameras, let me actually acknowledge your comments. See what you guys are saying in the comment section here. Let's see, because I need to catch up a little bit. All right. So we have Mados. Sorry, man, your name. I don't think this is your name. It's probably the name of your business or your channel. Can you talk about the difference between 14 to 42 and 45 to 175 lenses for the Mevo Core? What do you use one or the other for? Okay, so I actually, by the way, stay tuned because I have already recorded a video giving you like all the lenses that I recommend for the Mevo Core. So my favorite lenses. I have like 5 lenses that I have tested personally because I'm a Micro Four Third user. So I have so many lenses I'm going to recommend to you guys. So stay tuned for the video. But when it comes to the 145, 45 to 175, which is this lens right here. If you doing a studio production like what I'm doing in a small room, this lens is not gonna be very useful. Like personally in my studio here where I'm sitting right now, I can't use it. Why? Because it's a zoom lens. 175, that's equivalent of 350 on full frame. So that's a wide range. Okay. Yeah, that's super. I mean, telephoto kind of, not wide, but more telephoto, right? So this one is like a telephoto lens. I think it would be mostly useful if you're doing sports, outdoors, because this is f4 maximum aperture. So if you're doing outdoors sports, I think this is gonna be super, super useful. If you are in a studio space like what I'm doing, you're doing YouTube or even for church production, I don't know how it would handle low light. It would be something to test if you're doing church production. I would buy it just to test and see, depending on the distance. Maybe you want to stay, because the lens, I believe, is actually stabilized. Is it? I'm not sure if it's actually stabilized. No, it's not. Yeah, it's actually stabilized. Yeah, power OIS. So the lens is stabilized, which is good. That means it could be something to consider if you're doing like live events and you want that kind of telephoto from far away in the back to kind of reach on stage. But because of the aperture, this will be a kind of like you would have to test it, see how it handles low light, okay? Because that's the thing. Also, another thing with the ISO and everything, usually with my Panasonic GH5, I try to stay below 800. But with newer cameras, they have better technology. Sometimes you can, be at 1600 or 3200 and be able to get a good picture. So this could be something to test, but outdoors, sports, I think the lens will be fantastic for that. Now, for indoors, depending on the lighting, if you have good lighting, I would still recommend it for events and stuff like that, for churches, if you need that telephoto kind of reach. But other than that, not in a studio. If you're doing podcast streaming from a studio, I would not recommend the 45 to 175. Now, the 14 to 42 is actually the lens I'm using right now, and I recommend it 100%. It should be the very first lens that you should buy for the Mevo Core. Your first kit lens should be the 14 to 42 because you got the wide range, you got the zoomed in range. 42 is really good. And right now I'm using it at around 46. Sorry, not 46. Around 16 what you're watching right now, which is equivalent to what I usually use on my Sigma 16 So that's the lens that I would recommend when you buy the Mevo Core, the very first lens. Either you're doing for sports, either you're doing, it's like everything kind of lens. Your first lens really should be the 14 to 42. And then from there, depending on what you need, if you are into YouTube or home studios or, podcasting, you could actually go for something like 16 or 25 And if you are outdoors, maybe you need this telephoto kind of reach, then you can go for the 45 to 175. Again, remember these two lenses, the 14 and the 45 to 175, they have power zoom, which means you're going to be able to use the application to control the camera, which is awesome, which is another thing that we're going to be talking about in a moment. Okay. Let's see another question. Let me know if you still have more questions. I will be able to answer. Again, stay tuned for the video. We got Kenny B. Hi from the UK. Thanks so much for joining. I appreciate you. We got Louis. Louis says, man, I don't understand Spanish, man. Why would you leave me a Spanish comment? But I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for joining. Somebody who speaks Spanish, please let me know in the comments what this dude said. Hey, Luis, try to go to Google and translate for me, okay? I don't speak Spanish. Sorry. I do speak French. If you can speak French, let's go. Question. Can only Panasonic lenses be used? Or if with adapter, can you use Sony lenses? So I have... technically you should be able to use any speed booster and be able to adapt any lens, okay? However, give me a second. So reason why I had to bring these two adapters, I have this lens here. This is a vintage lens that I have adapted with a dummy adapter, okay, and adapts a vintage Canon lens to Micro Four Thirds. So this lens does fit no problem to the Mevo Core, okay. Let me see if actually I can change to this view for you guys. There we go. So this is what it looks like. This is dummy, so meaning there's no electronic contact or anything. Okay, but as you can see, I can easily connect this lens to the Mevo Core. Okay, and it's going to work. However, I will have to control the aperture manually, and this is not a zoom, this is a prime lens. I would have to control everything manually, even the aperture, because this is a manual lens. So yes, it's possible. It's just you have less control. Okay. Now, another thing that you may want to consider is these speed boosters. Okay. This is a Metabones XL 0.664X. All right. This is usually made for like full frame Canon lenses. Now, I had an issue. I actually talked to Panasonic about it. This Metabones speed booster is supposed to fit, usually fits on my Panasonic GH5, but it doesn't fit on the Mevo Core. So physically, somehow it's kind of hitting the sensor and it's not locking in the way it's supposed to. So I sent an email to Logitech. They're looking into it. They told me they will actually get back to me. But if you're using the Viltrox, as you can see, like guys, you can see there's like a bump here, and it's kind of too big for the camera sensor. I don't know why. I think when they made the sensor, they probably did not consider this Metabones. But I know there's another Metabones. I believe that's a 0.71X. All right, maybe that one, because that one is not made for full frame lenses, made for crop lenses. Probably that one is gonna be able to fit. There's also the Viltrox. So that one I didn't test it personally. So probably that one is gonna be able to fit. So this is gonna be something that I will have to follow up with Logitech. But any speed booster usually is supposed to fit. So it's probably a hardware issue that they may be able to fix in the future, or we're gonna be able to know in the future. But technically, it is supposed to fit any micro four third lens mount, including these adapters. So for now, any dummy plastic kind of for manual lenses is gonna be able to fit, no problem. So you can use those lenses. It's just you're not gonna be able to control the lens through the application. If you have a micro four third lens that has the electronic contact, it's gonna be able to fit, no problem. If it's a prime lens, you're not gonna be able to control the aperture. No, you're gonna be able to control the aperture, but you're not gonna be able to zoom because it's a prime lens. Also, if it's a zoom lens, but that if it doesn't have power zoom, you're not gonna be able to control the zoom. You're gonna have to zoom manually. But if it has power zoom, you're gonna be able to control the zoom. And of course, the focus works either you're using prime lens, zoom lens, doesn't matter. If it's not a manual lens, it's gonna be able to work, no problem. So that's that. But for now, we have a problem with the Metabones, the full frame one. It does not work physically. So again, if I get an update, I'll let you know for sure. Okay. Make sure you join my Facebook group. That's where I post some updates, or join my mailing list for sure. So that's that. Another thing is, so probably I don't have the Viltrox. I would love to try the Viltrox and see if it fits. Or if you have some Sony lenses as well, usually technically it's supposed to fit. Another thing that Logitech said, they were working actually on the compatibility to be able to make sure the camera can actually read those speed boosters. So even if I was testing it, officially it's not approved yet by Logitech. So what they said is you could use it, but probably the camera for now, they're working on the software to make sure it can actually read like all the aperture information, the zooming information and everything coming from the lens. Because again, you transferring the information through the adapter, the camera has to speak to the adapter. So that's why they kind of have to work on the firmware and the software to be able to make sure everything's compatible. So as of now, if you use it, if they fit physically, then it's gonna be something that you're probably gonna have to control some of the stuff manually on the lens. Can you imagine life without USB Type C? Yeah, life USB Type C is becoming a thing now. Good morning, joining. Oh, my man, Darius. Thank you, man. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you for being here. All right, we got the ancient voice says for a few more bucks, you can get a mirrorless full frame I found the Mevo is hard to sell. The OBSBOT is a webcam on series, um, which matches the price. Yeah. So that's another thing. When it comes to the pricing, again, I'm working on a video. It's probably gonna be posted this Saturday about the pricing. Most people are saying that the Mevo Core is expensive because it costs $1,000. In my opinion, that was actually before. That was actually my next point, which was the mobile streaming capabilities that you are able to get with the Mevo Core. And in my opinion, that's what I would call the most selling points for this camera. All right, with the multicam application from Mevo, you're actually able to connect multiple Mevo cameras and be able to control the cameras and go live using your cell phone. If you're using this camera, something like this one, for you to be able to go live, you're gonna need an actual software, something like a hardware, ATEM Mini Pro, a YOLO box, or like even NDI. You're gonna have to send it. Like the OBSBOT software does not allow you to go live directly. The OBSBOT software allows you to just control the camera. But with the Mevo Core, you have an ecosystem that it's already built to let you go live. I know the Mevo multicam application is not free, um, but there's another application called the Mevo. I have a video again about it. Mevo camera that allows you to connect one camera at a time. I believe you can connect multiple cameras, but you can control one camera at a time, and it's gonna allow you to be able to go live directly from the camera. Again, I'm working on that video as well, and it's got like some other good stuff like features and everything. But with the multicam app, you are able to use these multiple cameras, be able to go live using simply your iPhone or your iPad or your Android phone or your Android tablet. I believe that's the selling point. For me, if you ask me if I would buy the Mevo Core, of course, if I compare it to something like the GH5, I know I can get a good deal on a used GH5 for like $1,000 maybe. And the GH5 is way better than the Mevo Core. But if I was to buy it for live streaming, I believe the Mevo Core is way better than the GH5. So the Mevo Core is made specifically mostly for live streaming. It's a live streaming camera. It's not just a camera. It's a live streaming camera. And I believe this camera is more geared towards mobile live streamers, like people doing sports, people doing like, I've been in places where I was streaming weddings and funerals, and most of the time when I do those kind of live streams, I'm using the YOLO box. Back in the day, we used to use something like the ATEM Mini Pro. You have to take a computer or laptop and make sure you connect it to Wi-Fi, you connect it to power, and then be able to make sure you have access to internet. But now with something like the YOLO box, we can do mobile live streamings without any, without having to be able to, to be connected to power and Ethernet and everything, just using Wi-Fi or a SIM card. But now we're taking to another level, because with the YOLO box, I always have to carry HDMI transmitters or HDMI cables. But now I can see myself having this camera because it's got built-in SRT, NDI, and Wi-Fi, and be able to stream using just my phone, right? I got cellular data on my phone, and I can connect two Mevo cameras. I don't need to buy HDMI transmitters, all right? I don't need to carry HDMI cables and actually be able to stream something like a wedding with my friend. I can just carry the phone, and my friend will carry the second camera, and I will carry just one camera, have my phone mounted on the top of the camera, running the application, and be able to go live without, having to spend money on HDMI transmitters and stuff like that. So you can see like how many things I'm actually replacing by using the Mevo Core cameras or any Mevo camera. In fact, like the previous family of the Mevo camera, I think was really good. But the problem is it didn't have a good sensor for most people. Most semi-pros are actually trying to use like interchangeable lens cameras, something like Micro Four Third or APS-C or full frame. So I believe the Mevo Core is a perfect solution for that mobile live streamer or that mobile kind of wireless live streamer. And that's why I tell people, like, if you don't need it, if you think it's too expensive, it's because it was not made for you. If you're not doing this type of productions, then the Mevo Core is not worth it. Don't pay $1,000 because you can get better cameras for $1,000, as you're saying. Even like you can add a little bit of money and get some good full frame cameras. But if you are into mobile and wireless live streaming, you know how valuable this camera is. That's why I tell people like $1,000 is not a lot compared to all the things I'm going to replace: HDMI cables, capture cards, things like YOLO box, and like so many things are going to replace with this camera when it comes to mobile live streaming. Now, for just if you're buying it for just like doing YouTube, then it's not worth it. You can buy like other cameras like the Sony ZV-E10, like APS-C sensor cameras that would do great with autofocus and all the good stuff, right? Anyways, that's another point that I actually didn't talk about. The camera doesn't have autofocus as we speak. Probably is gonna be something they're gonna add in the software updates. It also does not record or stream 60 frames per second either in 1080p or 4K, which is compared to the OBSBOT Tail Air. The Tail Air in 1080p is gonna actually, it gives you 60 frames per second. But all those things, again, this is version 1, I believe. Logitech is going to be improving the camera and adding all those little details, like, autofocus. I believe it's not a little detail. I think personally I really want autofocus, but I also believe they're going to be adding maybe the ability to be able to record in 60 frames per second or stream in 60 frames per second, especially for my sports people. So that's my take, guys. Like, if you feel like it's too expensive, it's just the camera is not made for you, and it's okay. Like, we don't have to have all the cameras that come out. Like there's so many cool cameras I'll never buy because they're not made for you for my use case, right? Like, it's probably not made for your use case, and it will sound expensive compared to something like the G85 or G7 or the GH5, because you can get a used GH5 for $1,000, and it's way better than this camera. But when it comes to mobile live streaming or streaming in general, like, this is gonna kill the GH5. Like, it's not even close. So if you're buying it for streaming and mobile streaming, dude, like, Mevo Core is fantastic, right? It's not even expensive. But if you buy it as just a camera or as just a webcam, then it's way too expensive. It's like, that's my point. So I hope it makes sense. Again, if I'm wrong, let me know down below. My name is Mike. Do you use the Mevo Core to stream weddings or interviews as recover cost? And a question is, when you stream, is the difference comparable to a Mevo Start considering the 1080p? So that's what I was saying. So I haven't, now I'm scheduling some of my gigs. I haven't used it to live stream for weddings, but my next gig, when I'm doing a mobile live streaming, I'm gonna be using the Mevo Core. So I've got 2 Mevo Cores, and that's definitely what I'm gonna be using. I'm not gonna bring my GH5 there, because bringing my GH5 and that means I have to bring my YOLO box as well. Sorry. And doing that means I have to connect my GH5 using a cable. And if I want to do 2 angles, I have to use 2 GH5s with a cable or get, an HDMI transmitter. That's way too much for me. So my next gig, I'm going to be bringing the 2 Mevo Cores if I'm doing 2 angles. And I'm going to be using my iPhone. I've got 2 iPhones, one dedicated just for streaming and doing stuff like that. And that's what I'm going to be using. And I'm going to be able to go live to YouTube, any platform that I want with the application. And I'm probably going to carry an extra battery in case I don't have power and stuff like that. But that's what I'm going to be using. And yes, it's going to be way, way better than the previous Mevo. Because the previous Mevo is great. But when it comes to low light, because it doesn't have like good sensor, the sensor is very small, it's not gonna perform well. So if you're streaming indoors, especially like things like weddings or funerals where sometimes you have to be indoors, they're not gonna perform that well. All right, but with the Mevo Core, because the fact that I can actually add my own lens, it's gonna be awesome. I'm also gonna be testing the Mevo Core on a gimbal, see how they do. Another struggle that I have with the Mevo Core again is the fact that I don't have autofocus. For me, it's kind of still being an issue for me, but it's no big deal. Okay, you can still control it because again, when I'm streaming, I'm always like gonna have someone on the camera, so it's not like I'm just gonna leave the camera by itself. So yes, the Mevo Core is still way better than the previous Mevo, for sure, for sure. But again, it's gonna be more expensive too, right? So because you're spending money on the camera and you have to buy the lenses as well. But if you have the budget, well, like the camera is just gonna save you time and it's gonna make your life way easier. Okay. I only own Mevo Start, so I only own the Mevo Start, so I don't even know how to mount a lens in a camera. But I have been thinking of buying cores. Yeah, I mean it's not very complicated. Again, if you subscribe to my channel, I'm gonna be breaking down some of the lens recommendations. I know some of you guys are new to this interchangeable lens, like some of the previous Mevo users. So I'm gonna be breaking down some of the recommended lenses. I've got some videos talking about the best settings when it comes to Mevo Core. So I'm trying to like accommodate some of the new audience coming to my channel, some of you guys. So make sure you stay tuned. I've got like, probably 5 videos already recorded showing you some of the best. Sorry. My lips are dry. Yeah, showing you some of the best use case scenarios. I mean, not use case scenarios, but some of the best settings within the application, but also some of the best lenses that you can use depending on the use case scenarios. So stay tuned. It's not intimidating. It looks and kind of sound a little intimidating, but it's actually pretty easy. It's an easy thing. Thanks for answering my question about the lens adapters. You're welcome. Question: do you know that some cameras overheat when recording in 4K? Will the Mevo camera get hot? Example, more than 3 hours. So most of the micro four third, that's one of the best things about Lumix cameras or Panasonic cameras. Is like Sony and Canon have like an overheating issues, especially Sony cameras. But because of the smaller sensor in the micro four third cameras, most of the time they don't overheat. Actually, I'll say they never overheat. Okay, and the Mevo Core is the same. But again, it's a new camera, so I'm still testing it. But I use it. I've been using ever since it was released. I recorded in 4K, didn't overheat. I was recording and sending an HMI signal into my A10 Mini Pro. Even this morning was on the whole time. It didn't overheat. Well, I wasn't recording. It was simply connected to my A10 Mini Pro and actually recording videos. So I wasn't recording internally on the SD card. But so far, it's like recorded USB. I've been using NDI. I've tested SRT. I've tested like all the connections, and the camera never overheat on me. So if there's something that I'm worried about, overheating is not on the list. Like with the Mevo Core. So I would say again, I cannot confirm 100% because I haven't done any outdoors like super hot streaming or anything. But with the micro four third sensor, usually I wouldn't worry that much about overheating. So yeah, again, if I do find something, I'll let you know for sure. I thought Multicam app was free. No, I believe there's a cost associated to it. I don't know the price, but it's like you pay monthly. But it's probably a small fee. So, or maybe it's free. I'll have to confirm, but I'm not sure if it's 100% free. Okay. But again, some of these applications, like I'll say, if you use it, just use it to, let me double check actually. Maybe I'm lying. I don't know. Um, Let me check on the App Store. What is it called? Mevo Multicam. Let's say get. So I think there's a free tier and then there's a paid tier, which is the pro tier, I believe. So I am probably wrong. Mevo multicam. Again, guys, I apologize. I'm probably wrong on that one. So Mevo multicam app price. Yeah, it's I believe it's free, but if you need to, you can get like the paid tier, which is the one that you have. You get like multi streaming and stuff like that. That's where you have to pay. So I apologize. Yeah. So the Mevo Pro is $19 per month. So the multicam application itself, I believe it's free. Okay. Again, I will have to double confirm on this. Okay. But what I see on the internet right now, it says the Pro. If you go with the Pro, because the Pro is going to allow you to multi stream to multiple destinations and some other cool stuff that you can do with the Pro. So the basic one is actually free. So I apologize. Again, you can Google it, guys, if you have time. And I apologize on that because I wasn't really informed well. Yeah, but I believe it's free. It's just if you want the pro version. What is the maximum number of cameras connected by NDI to OBS? Is there a limit? So that transmission is not paused or will depend on the power of your internet. Yeah, so there's no limit. I'm not aware of any limit when it comes to NDI. It's just you have to be aware of the fact that you are using your internet bandwidth. So if you because like if you're sending what 7 point, it's like basically NDI is like you streaming to from the camera to OBS, right? So right now I'm streaming to YouTube. I'm using 10 megabits per second. Um, for my bandwidth. Okay. So if I was using NDI, I'll probably this NDI lower bit rate of 2.5, and there's another one for 7.5. You can even choose which bandwidth you want to send. So if you depending on your bandwidth, I think that's what's gonna be the limiting factor really. So if you're sending like 10 cameras over NDI and your bandwidth can accommodate, I don't know, maybe 50 megabits per second. It's probably gonna be each camera is gonna have, I don't know. You're just gonna look into your bandwidth, the type of like what's your speed, your internet speed, and try to be reasonable. Also, if you're using the same network to live stream to other platforms like YouTube and Facebook, you just gotta have to be aware of your bandwidth. I don't think there's any limit to what you can actually do with NDI. Thank you. Very good information. Could you activate subtitles for those of us who live in other countries? Thank you. So yeah, I'm gonna try to to do that. I also like I believe there's a way to do like live subtitles. So it's probably something that I will consider for my next live stream. So for sure, for sure. But on the replay, if you're watching on the replay, I'll try to. I think YouTube is gonna have some auto caption that you can actually use to watch. William say I saw a content creator use Yellowbox Ultra with the Mevo Core. It was a game changer. Yeah, I think I saw this guy. What's his name? I can't remember his name, but I saw him doing some testing with the Mevo Core. There's a way you can actually like zoom in and zoom out with because it has a 4K sensor, so you can use those features. I think he was testing with NDI with the Yellow Box. Like if you have the Yellow Box Ultra has NDI, so that's another thing. Like those are things that most people don't see because a lot of people are just looking at the price. But if you look at the fact that you can actually control this camera or send the feed using NDI into things like even like not just the multicam application you can use if you have a Yellow Box Pro and you have some other cameras connected. Imagine having to use being able to use NDI and be able to. I think the guy was able to create multiple angles um, from just one angle. I'm not a big fan of that because you're kind of cropping in, but for some people, actually, it does work because you're cropping in. But if you're cropping on a 4K sensor, sometimes it doesn't really show any, noticeable kind of quality loss. And yeah, so the guy looked awesome. I mean, I didn't see the final output. I just saw it on the yellow box picture. It's just a tiny picture. So yeah, it's like a lot of people could do great stuff with this camera. I mean, with NDI, SRT, and Wi-Fi 6E, man, like that's where the beauty of the Mevo Core is actually is. And if you don't need those features, I would say I'm not gonna say that the Mevo Core is kind of valueless, but it's like you're not getting much value from the camera. So it's probably better to buy another camera that's not the Mevo Core, because if you don't need wireless and mobile streaming, then probably it's not worth $1,000 for you. That's where most people say that the camera is too expensive. So that's another thing to consider. William says a good point. If it's too expensive, is not for you. Yeah, I mean, like it's as simple as that. Like, I don't know if people are not gonna take it the wrong way, but like if it's too expensive, it's just it wasn't made for you, it was made for someone else who really, really needs it, and they don't mind paying $1,000 for those specific features, which is NDI, SRT, Wi-Fi E. And because they know they need to actually use those features in their daily or weekly or monthly productions, they are, trust me, the camera actually, you find out that the camera is not even expensive. It's actually way too cheap. With that kind of technology that's kind of built into it, man. Like if you look at the guy who's using NDI with the yellow box ultra, the guy is like super excited, and it's exciting. You see like what you can do with an NDI camera that has interchangeable lens. Like guys, most cameras on the market right now that have NDI and SRT and Wi-Fi capabilities, well, some have Wi-Fi capabilities, but most cameras with SRT and NDI right now are PTZ cameras. And PTZ cameras not really that good, or webcams like something like the Tail Air, they have a small sensor. So most professionals or most semi-professional videographers or streamers, they don't like these kind of cameras because they are grainy. When it comes to low light, there's no way to have like a depth of field or a blurry background, this cinematic look. That's why having an interchangeable lens camera with those features built into it, man, it's just amazing. Like you're gonna see a lot of people start using these cameras for like recording mobile podcasts, where you can have two, three Mevo cameras on the go. Put them in your bag, two or three with two or three lenses and your iPad. Get to a place where you're gonna just set up two, three Mevo cameras with something like the Roadcaster Duo. Just connect a simple, minimal kind of setup for live streaming, right? If you are in an event, you can actually set up a quick live streaming, mobile live streaming, and go live on any platform, or be able to record, like kind of switch in real time, like record the podcast or anything, and then use that, like because you can record the program out and you can still kind of live stream, or you can even record internally on the cameras and after do the switching with like a better, higher quality picture. So like so many cool things you can do with these cameras. Just like it's gotta be within your use case. If it's not, and then the camera is gonna look way too expensive, way too expensive. It's like me buying a red camera. As a streamer, you ask me to buy a cinema camera or a red camera. I don't need that. I don't need those cinematic super slow motion. I never use slow motion when I'm live. So if you sell me a camera that costs $5,000 because it's got slow motion, 120 frames per second, that I'm never gonna use in my live streaming, and I have to pay that feature, of course the camera seems too expensive because I don't need the features. It's the same. I don't need to record in RAW. I don't need to record in Blackmagic RAW. I don't need that because I'm just streaming, right? So that's why, like, if I have to pay that kind of camera, of course, it's gonna look too expensive because you're selling me features that I don't need. And unfortunately, every single feature that is built into a camera, those manufacturers have to pay for that. They have to pay for NDI technology. They have to pay for engineers to develop SRT. They have to pay for everything that's built into a camera. They have to pay for it. And when they pay for it, at the end of the day, the user has to pay the money for the work that was done to build that camera. So that's why if you don't need those features, usually then it's gonna look too expensive. So The answer is yes. It's just not made for you, and it's okay. Don't feel offended. Don't feel like it's personal. It's just there's another camera that's made specifically for use case scenario. I think it only cost for multi-stream the pro version. Yeah, I think you're right. I really apologize on that. The pro version, that's why I have to pay money. um, Free tier and pro tier is paid on the multi-cam. Oh, really? Oh, free tier. Okay, and the pro. Okay, cool, cool. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Okay, there you go. William says is Jason Hoffman. Yeah, that's the guy. That's the guy. Yeah, I saw his video. It's amazing. When you see the power of integration, the value is far more than the cost. Absolutely, man. That's the whole point. When you see the value, you see what you can do. And again, if you don't need it, if you don't do mobile live streaming, this camera is really not for you. You can buy it just for the fun of having it. If money is not a problem, but if you know that you're doing some mobile live streaming, if you know at some point that you're gonna use an HDMI transmitter, then you can go ahead and buy a camera. You know how much it costs to buy an HDMI transmitter? Most HDMI transmitters cost anywhere between 500 to $800, and they can even cost over that if you're going for zero latency. Okay, so these cameras can replace that. Imagine a single HDMI transmitter can cost you about $800 or $700 with a little bit of latency. You can easily replace that by buying this camera because you got NDI. So with NDI, instead of using something like an HDMI transmitter to a camera like the GH5, that will still cost you money. You still pay for the GH5 or the G87 or the G7 and still invest in the HDMI transmitter. Instead of buying that, you can buy the Mevo Core and use NDI, and it's gonna save you the cost for the HDMI transmitter. You see like the difference? That's where you just realize that the camera is saving you money. It's not actually too expensive. But if you don't need it, if you're just doing some studio production like what I'm doing here, doing YouTube or social media, then you probably can use just the Panasonic GH5 or G7 or G85 or the Sony ZV-E10 and just connect an HDMI cable or USB. Some of these cameras have USB now. Connect directly to your computer or just use a webcam and then pay less money because you don't need those features. But then if you know you need those features, you can use the camera for mobile live streaming, wireless live streaming, and still use it back in your studio for YouTube stuff and social media. So that's the thing. You just gotta buy it first for mobile live streaming and then second for other stuff in your studio. So that's how I see it. So guys, again, if you don't have any other questions, that's those are my 2 cents when it comes to these two cameras. So my conclusion really when it comes to these two cameras, again, this is gonna be way more professional. It's gonna give you way more professional picture, way more features when it comes to multi-streaming, NDI, and wireless connectivity. And the application is amazing. The ecosystem is amazing. Like it's just way better image quality compared to this one. It still has SRT, and when you compare to the Tail Air, the only thing you're getting the gimbal, and of course it's lightweight, and of course it's gonna give you all the tracking. So if you need the tracking, probably the Mevo Core is not the camera for you. But if the tracking is not what you need the better image quality, then you wanna go with the Mevo Core. Now, if the low light is not a problem, maybe you're doing sports, and you already have some sort of infrastructure where you can actually send NDI. Keep in mind you're gonna have to pay the license for this camera for NDI, right? You send it to your YOLO box or any other streaming software, then this camera is gonna be more valuable. It's gonna give you more value for less because again, you don't have to invest in extra lenses and stuff like that. It's got built-in battery that will last up to 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, you have to recharge. That's something that you have to keep in mind. If you're doing like streaming a wedding that will last 5 hours, probably not the best camera. But again, for quick stuff, where you need where you don't need like super high quality image, maybe you're doing outdoors, it's not in low light. I think this camera has value. Of course, I believe it has no SRT. So if you need SRT, again, this is not gonna be your camera. Full size HDMI, that's the Mevo Core. This doesn't have full size HDMI. And but other than that, they can still work in, YouTube offices and podcasting and everything. It can still work. Again, it's got the PTZ features, pan, tilt, and zoom, which is amazing. So, and again, it costs less compared to the other cameras, so to the Mevo Core. So my main conclusion really is, it all depends on your use case and your budget. Okay. I believe both cameras are fantastic. So, with that being said, we have a giveaway happening right now. And just a way to, recently we hit 20K subscribers, and I always like to, kind of appreciate you guys for watching my videos, leaving comments, and it's just like I feel like it's a community, and sometimes it just feels good to give away something. So I've got this camera from OBSBOT. Sorry, the Tail Air, this one right here. So I'm giving it away to one of you guys, and the giveaway is actually open right now. So if you go to, we got all the rules down below, but if you go to, let me see if I can drop the link down below for you guys. But I got the link already. I believe I got the link down below. So if you're watching on the replay, if you're watching live, the link should be in the chat right now. So I'm just gonna drop it in the chat, so you guys can go directly um to the page. I'm just gonna show you what the page looks like. Okay, so so to enter the giveaway, just go to liveproductiontips.com/giveaway. Okay, and let me see. And of course, let me go to the link, live production. Yeah, this is my new website now. Still working on it, but the link's gonna get you to this page right here. Okay, so as you can see, it's gonna give you all the info. Again, we got all the rules down below. This giveaway is not sponsored by YouTube, it's not sponsored by Facebook, it's not sponsored by OBSBOT, it's not sponsored by any of the social media platforms. This is just me giving it away to you guys to appreciate you. So you just click into the giveaway, and it's gonna take you to this page. We have 28 days left. You have 3 ways to earn. Okay, to earn entries. You can earn by, of course, we got an Amazon page that always like you guys. If you follow me there, that's where sometimes we go live. I used to go live more often there, but I don't go live that often on Amazon. But when you follow, that's where I post some of the new gear, lens recommendations, and stuff like that on Amazon. Especially if you shop on Amazon, so you can actually easily access those. So you also, when you subscribe to our mailing list, obviously a lot of good stuff happening. If you're not subscribed, you want to make sure you subscribe. But when you subscribe, you also get like one entry, one extra entry. And that's where sometimes we announce this type of giveaways, and of course in our Facebook group. So by joining the Facebook group, you get some extra entry, one extra entry as well. So many ways to enter to get more. The more entries you get, the more chances of winning. And of course, if you refer someone else, you can click to refer and share, and you're gonna be able to get more chances actually more entries you share, again, you know what they say, sharing is caring. If you share, you got more chances of actually you get some extra entries by referring the giveaway to someone else. All right, so make sure you share, and good luck to everyone. The prize again is gonna be the OBSBOT Tail Air 4K camera, brand new, guys. Okay, it's gonna be brand new. Okay, so yeah, again, I've got a link down below in the chat and down below, so you guys can actually go ahead and check it out. If you're not part of my Facebook group, you want to make sure you actually join, because that's where we share all this new stuff, new information, and giveaways. And if you have questions about anything, you can actually also go there and talk to me directly, and some other people who are into the live streaming space. All right, where they can actually answer your questions, no problem. All right. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with my lips today. See, this is the problem of being live. You go live and something embarrassing happens to you. Weird. So, anyways, my lips are super dry, so probably did not drink enough water. Anyways, so guys, this is it for today. I've got a video coming up. If you still confused about which lens to get for the OBSBOT, sorry, not the OBSBOT, the OBSBOT Tail Air does not need an extra lens. But if you confused about which lens, maybe it's your first time getting into interchangeable lens cameras. If you're confused about that, I've got a video coming up again showing you or demoing some of the lenses that I use personally, that I will actually recommend if you actually trying to get the Mevo Core, or if you already purchased it and you're looking for some sort of guide to find a perfect lens. I have a video that I'm gonna actually link somewhere here, okay? But also working on another video that will show you step by step how to explore all the features, set up the Mevo Core to be able to go live or use it in OBS, using things like NDI, SRT, even using USB directly connected to OBS. And the video, I'm gonna link it right here, okay? But other than that, guys, thank you for joining me live, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, guys.